Hello, brick sculptors, and welcome back to Brick Sculpt. This is Chris, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I had a fan ask me in the comments on one of my videos to do a behind the scenes on how I make a video. Now, this is definitely a little bit off brand for me, not something I've ever done. And as you might know, I'm more of a Lego person than a video person, but we'll see what we can do here. So, of course, every video is going to start with a topic, and I think I have a good one for this. It's been a while since I've done a pieces video, and I've been thinking about good pieces to do for a pieces video. And the one that comes to mind is the cheese slope. I've done some similar stuff, but I've never actually talked about the original cheese slope, a piece that is so revolutionary that we have to talk about it. So I'm going to kind of go through how I start to make a video, gather some stuff up, plan it out, and eventually shoot it. So first thing I like to do is kind of brainstorm. Now, I don't script any of my videos. I have a degree in communications. I've done a lot of public speaking, so I feel very natural speaking without notes or a script. And I think that's kind of part of the fun of this channel, is it's just kind of very go with the flow. But I do, however, like to make an outline just to get an idea of what I want to put in the video. I don't do this for every video. Sometimes I've already got it all laid out in my head, but sometimes it helps guide me through. So we're going to start with an intro. And I apologize for my terrible writing. Intro for cheese slopes. We'll do a little bit of, let's say, history. So we're going to talk about when it came out. Now this is information we have to look up. This way it'll give me points to remember to look up later. Introduced when, part number. All information I want to make sure I get in this video. Talk about variety. And then we'll start to get out of the more basic information into some more important stuff. Now, at this point, I'm going to start pulling ideas. For example, for some reason, I have a crazy, strange collection of cheese slope colors. To me, this is just like the perfect piece for like a swatch of a color, kind of like you'd have in a paint department of a hardware store. Same reason I use them on my bins. I just think it's a good shape. It gives a good representation of the color without being too flat, too textured, too hard to find. It's just a very common piece at this point. It comes in pretty much every color. So I've got a whole selection here, and this can definitely tie into the video. I might want to clean it up though, make it look a little bit better than this. But we're going to start with that, put it on the table. And so let's talk, variety, colors, show collection. Now we also want to talk, history. But let's talk a little bit deeper. This is going to be the history of the cheese slope. But let's talk about kind of predecessors. So we're going to get some old slopes. Now for this, I'm going to need to go into my bulk bins and dig some stuff out. So I'm going to find all different old slopes to talk about. I'm also going to talk about related slopes. And here I can start pulling parts. So for example, we have a cheese slope. We're also going to find, and I like to mix up the colors. So let's say maybe we want to use some more attractive colors. Here in dark red, maybe I can do a double cheese slope. For my single cheese slope for this portion, let's use, how about sand blue? Love sand blue. I guess I don't have sand blue. Moving on. Let's try a different color. How about another blue? There we go, medium blue or medium azure. I always get those two mixed up. That'll work. What's another good color? Now, what's another slope we can find? Well, this one I have a little bit more limited of colors in, but this new double cheese slope, as far as too long, I guess they're both different double cheese slopes. We'll incorporate that in the video. I don't have that in many colors, so white is going to have to do it. If we're talking about that piece, we might as well talk about its predecessor, which is, let's see, dark gray. There we go. Let's see what else we got. This is a good one. Pretty closely related. Right there. Add that to the mix. And I think that about will cover it for closely related. Now, when I get stuff like this, I need to then put it on something to display it. Usually my go-to is to grab a piece of black plate, something a little bit larger that will show them off nicely. Give it a nice contrasting background. So we got cheese slope, double cheese slope, and there we go. We've got our related items. One part down. Now let's find our classic slopes. And for this, we're going to direct our attention over to our bulk bins. Follow me. Now these bulk bins are a mess, I apologize, but I should be able to find some good stuff in here. I have a lot of slopes in white. That's an obvious one. Let's switch colors here. Another obvious one. We can get into stuff like this. We'll see if we use that or not. There you go. That seems like a decent selection. Now, we don't want to get too big because we're talking about things that would be kind of replaced by the cheese slope in these more modern builds. So I think this is a good start here. So same thing, let's find ourselves some more black plate. I think this should cover it. I got less pieces in this one. Perfect. 2 pieces of the video done. All right, so we've got through predecessors, related. We're going to look up that part number. We're going to look up when it was introduced. I'll try to get a rough idea of the amount of colors, but I think we should lay this out a little bit nicer. Let me see how I can make this look a little bit cleaner. Got a whole bunch of white plates here. So maybe I can kind of break this down into different categories. Maybe do multiples. That could be kind of cool. I don't really like the look of this, to be honest with you. Kind of want to space them out better. Not quite sure how I want to do this. Let me play around with this a little bit. So after a whole lot of trial and error, this is what I settled on. I got a 16 by 16, put them at an angle. Those look pretty good. It's so hard to arrange these in like a grid that makes sense with the colors because there's just so many different families of colors here. And some colors like blue and green have a million different shades, while red and orange don't have that many. So looks pretty cool. I think that'll make for a good video. All right, so we've got some of the basics down here. Let's call kind of all of this the intro. And then we got to get into the body. And in the body, we're going to talk about uses for this piece. So for cheese slopes, just brainstorming here, obvious uses, roofs, rock work. Just did a video on that. Water, landscape, micro detail maybe, food. Yeah, I did some good stuff with food. Let me see if I can find that. I have a bin that I save some of my more pieces I want to use in other videos. I did this table a while back. It does not have a cheese slope on it right now, but it will. I also did a charcuterie board, which does not seem to be in here. I wonder if I can come up with that. But on this table here is kind of a baking table. So I've got kind of all the pieces for baking. Oops. I use this as butter. And the way I do that I had a jumper right here as kind of a butter tray. And then a light yellow cheese slope is like the perfect color for butter. Just like that. I got to find something to fill in there. I think I had like a bag of flour, but that'll be a good example for food. Let's put baking table, charcuterie, however the heck you spell that. I don't pay attention to spelling. I'm just trying to write fast here. Anything else in here that kind of jogs my memory? There's a nice little detail piece. See, that's why I keep like stuff like this around, just because it, brings things to, this would be like a micro detail, light, example. Anything else in here I can use? So a couple quick ideas there. As for this landscaping and rock work, I just did that video, so I still have pieces in this lovely bin of shame. Let's see here. That's got a bunch of cheese slopes on it. Not the most descriptive though, so I'm going to pass on that one. I might make a fresh thing for this. But I did have a couple of these, which have lots of cheese slopes in them. This is some kind of flat rocks, and 2 of these. Maybe I'll incorporate those. So we can kind of call that rock work. Maybe I can do up a burp or lerp a little better. Let's see here. Let's get a modern color. I did this up. That's got some on there. There we go. Just some examples from that other video. Burp rock. If you're not familiar, burp stands for big ugly rock piece. Okay. So those. Oh, maybe a headlight for a vehicle. I've got my tow truck from the Winter Challenge, which has cheese slope headlights and turn signals, lights up top, and mirrors. So that's a great example. I'll incorporate that for vehicles. Check food. I gotta find that charcuterie board. It's somewhere. It might be up in my office. I have some builds up in my office. Let me make sure I find that. Micro detail, let's give lots of examples. Rock work, that's probably good enough. Roofs. I have to find a good example of roofs. So I basically just start piling up examples here, because what I'm going to do, go through the history, go through the body, a lot of the uses, share some thoughts, and then I'll usually open it up at the end here to discussion. So I'll always ask the audience what they like to do. And this is nice because it leads into a follow-up video. So if I create that kind of conversation, that's a big part of the Brick Sculpt channel, is getting a conversation, getting a dialogue going where, hey guys, here's something cool, show it off, show us some examples, and then we're going to move right into, no, I've shown you what I do with it, you tell me what you do. And I love the comments. You guys give me such great comments, which give me awesome ideas. And then I can do a follow-up and be like, hey, part 2, cheese slope. Check out these ideas you guys came up with. So that's likely what we'll do with. So what do I need to do to finish this video out? Now, I don't have enough stuff here. I'm going to need a whole bunch of different examples. I also like to try to find some unique connections. So I'll probably work that in here too. These are all going to be more applications, but let's think of like some connections. Like how can we snot this? How can we recess it? Maybe, I know I showed that in a video not too long ago. Maybe we could bring in an alt brick. I do have some wee brick cheese slopes with studs on them, just something to talk about. So let's see, stair step, let's see, alt brick. So I'm going to gather some of that stuff up. I'm going to make some more examples here. Maybe I'll do a landscape, or I'll do some kind of green. Let's see what we can do. Let's speed this up a bit so you don't have to sit here and watch me build this whole thing. So at this point, I've got pretty much everything I need here for the video. I've got lots of good examples. My notes are an absolute mess. I did look up some of the details that I needed for this introduction part. So at this point, the next thing I'm going to do is rewrite my outline. This will just make it easier to follow and easier to read. Like I said before, I don't script any of my stuff, so I'm not going to actually read this, but it just gives me bullet points so I know the order. And then I'm going to lay all these items out off camera. I'll show you because this is behind the scenes, but I'm going to lay them out off camera in the order that I'm going to present them so I can just pull them into frame one by one. And so then as I come across something that I need to present here, I'm going to just make notes. Like this part here, I don't have a cheese wedge with the cheese print on it, so I'm going to say here, include picture. That's obviously not going to come until the editing phase. And but right here, I'm going to start to incorporate these items based on my notes here. So I'm going to talk about the variety of colors. That's where this is going to come in. Then I'm going to start laying these things out on the side, right over here as they fit into my layout here. So variety of colors, that's going to be the first item I present. After that, we're going to talk about related items. And then we're going to talk about legacy pieces. And we're going to briefly mention alt bricks. And then as I write this, I'll think of things like, okay, I'm going to talk about an example of a roof. And I have a couple pre-built roofs here, but you can't really see how it's built. So then I have to come in here and say, okay, maybe I should show an example of how I construct this. And so let's build up a little mock here to kind of walk the audience through what we're doing. Make a little stair step. To make it go faster, we'll use double cheese slopes. And then for some of this stuff, I'm going to build it on camera. So I'll leave this in pieces because I'm going to have to pull this in as a build. So I'll often use a small container, put everything in there. So when it comes time to talk about this roof section, I can grab this, bring it in off camera, put it in my hand, plop it down and start building. So that's usually how I do this. I tend to film all this in one take. If I mess up, I just kind of, you'll probably notice in my editing I have a lot of little blips because I just keep rolling. And if I mess up, I just cut sections out and paste it back together. I'll just shoot it again in one take. Because otherwise I'm stopping and starting a lot and creating a lot of different video that I have to then piece together, which makes it more confusing. When I'm trying to post regularly, getting this stuff out faster is always better. And it can be really hard to do if you have to sit there and piece together a video with 20 different parts. So that'll be ready to go there. This one I'm going to do a build, but only partial. So I'm going to partially deconstruct it so I can show that. Same thing here. This will be partial. This is smaller, so I probably don't need a container for it. All these techniques are going to be partially assembled, partially disassembled, and then I'll build them on camera. So there's a technique. There's a technique. 2 techniques there, and then we have, this is going to be part of explaining the fine details. This is landscaping, so we should put this after rocks. So I'm actually probably going to put roofs last. Let's start, I guess that will fit right into small details. And we're just trying to get a good variety of examples here to inspire the audience how this piece can be used. So that's kind of the whole goal, right? All right, so I've got everything laid out. I've got this laid out. Next thing to do is clean up the table and fill it. And again, I just roll with this. I'm not going to write out what I'm going to say. I know everything here will guide me, and I'll get through it. So this is the space I have to work with. I always film on my mat. So basically this is going to come off. I'm not going to need the star-spangled knife, but I do have a table over there that I can hold things as well. Basically I'm going to clear off as much as I can. I'm going to set up my little table toppers there. I like to try to align the mat. So I try to keep this gray square aligned with the middle bins. Just like that. I got to do something with Rick. What should I do with him? Give him a couple cheese slopes to hold. It's not easy to put a cheese slope in a minifig's hand. There we go. And, trans blue. There we go. Rick's ready. Rick will often stand down here, but he can kind of get in the way. Sometimes I'll make him sit up top here, or just on one of the shelves. I'll put him on top of the Brick Sculpt logo for this one. So then we're going to balance these on the gray section here and get ready to film. I've got everything laid out on that side. My notes are going to go right over here. So when I film, I'm just going to film right here. You're not going to see the notes. You're not going to see everything laid out there. And you'll be able to follow along, hopefully, pretty easily. So when I film, I'm going to bring my tripod in here closer. Like this. I do apologize. I've been getting a small shadow right here. It's actually from the camera itself. When I redid the room, I don't have a light above this new build station yet. So I get a small shadow there. It's a temporary problem. It will go away. But I haven't resolved it yet. So we're just going to get this right here. Sometimes I'll align it with the bottoms here. If I need a little more space, I'll pull it out a little bit. Like that. And then that's how we're going to film. Move this over so it's out of frame. And we're ready to go. I hope you guys found this video interesting. This is basically the process I do for all my videos. Some of them are a little bit more labor intensive than others. Some are real quick and easy. Some, like this one, take a bit of preparation. But that's what I do, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see the video, it's out now as well. I'll have it linked here. Well, I hope you guys liked this video. If you have any questions, please leave them below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to do more just like this in the future. That's all I got for this time, and we will see you next time.